Welcome again, everybody, to another episode of the Student to Life podcast, where learning and unlearning has no limits. I'm your host, Stretch, with my co-host,
Shan.
and today we have a very, very, very special guest in the building today. We have Dr. TASHA in the building.
Yay! She made it.
Yes.
Welcome, Dr. TASHA.
I appreciate that.
So I want you to give us a summary of who you are, what you do, and the whole nine.
Little summary.
Little summary.
Okay, so in 1981. Okay, so I am 42. I'm a doctor of clinical psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have the best job in the world, mainly because people that look like us don't think that it is exactly what we should be doing when it is essential for us to do.
Sure.
I am a founder of my private practice, which is called Drive-By Therapy. I kind of made it up when I was living in Los Angeles, which is where I moved from, being in South Florida now.
Okay.
But I really am like a sharpshooter, and so I kind of played on the idea of how I was working with gangbangers and prostitutes and those in the industry. And I kind of talked about this is my own type of drive-by.
Okay.
That I'm going to get to the core of the issues quickly. So the same way they try to get to the core quickly, and so I'm going to get to the core of your
So when you
heart
say
quickly.
drive-by, it's not actually driving by therapy.
No, it
No.
means that you're going to be in the presence of a sharpshooter. That's
Oh,
going to
okay.
to
It
your
makes
issues
sense.
quickly.
Because that's what I thought about the first time I heard it. It was like, is she actually driving by and giving therapy?
Oh, now I do make house calls. So
Like
that's
pull
a good
up on
question.
you. Yeah.
So I do. So think about it. Could you imagine with you and your spouse or partner, and literally like I knock on the door and I get to talk to you on the same couch that y'all was arguing on the night before. So I love that. Or family interventions, like you and all the kids or whatever, we're gonna talk at that same family table that y'all ain't been at
Right.
for the last
How long-
8 years because everybody
Right.
eating dinner in their separate bedrooms.
Right.
So I'm gonna finally bring the family together in the living room or in the table.
that's
So I do
nice.
make house calls to a lot of people that are like renowned and they don't want to come to the office.
Do you rather that, house calls?
I'll do it. It's you actually obviously you pay more to have me come to your home, but
Right.
if you are like a mayor or you work for Congress or you're on Love and Hip Hop or you're an athlete, you don't want to come to my office.
Makes sense.
I come to you, and then we can talk about what your life is, and so you don't have to deal with that confidentiality.
Right.
Right.
So it's really a luxury.
So our podcast is, Student to Life podcast, and you deal with everything, everyday life with people. What does Student to Life mean to you?
So my first thought when I saw it, I thought young adults that are trying to figure it out. That was my first thought, right?
Right.
In my mind, young adults are like 25 to 35-year-olds. Like the idea of like these bills is real, these relationships are real. I kind of like my parents, but not really right now, right? That's that young adult world. And then real life gets real quick, right? And so it kind of, student to life, it's almost like the things that they don't teach you in school and that you have to learn like on the job training, which is just living. That's what came to mind when I
So
saw it.
sometimes, like, we're not very much educated. When I say we, I mean us, Black people, our culture is not very much educated on therapy. And when you say clinical psychologists, they're not going to know exactly. Because everybody look at it as either you're a therapist or you're not, or you're a psychologist.
That's a good one. I can break that down for the people.
Yes.
So I want to describe the difference between a clinical psychologist
Okay.
and just
Because we
being a
just learned that
therapist.
too, guys.
Right.
So.
Okay. Yes, it's happening, y'all. Y'all don't know. This is the life. This is the life part that we're learning forever, right? What lifelong learners, as people say. So as a doctor of clinical psychology, I went to school for 5 years after my bachelor's and got my doctorate. So my degree is called PsyD, Doctorate in Psychology. Now, a therapist, a lot of times are social workers. Sometimes they can be licensed mental health counselors. So they have their master's. So they went to school 2 years after their bachelor's.
Right.
And then coaches, sometimes coaches take about 3 days to get certified and they call themselves a coach. Nothing wrong
Like
with
a
that.
life coach?
Yeah, like a life coach, business coach. And so it's nothing wrong. A lot of people think that therapists think that coaches are whack, right? Because they didn't go to school as long. But the truth is, as we spoke about your profession, right? Bartenders, cosmetologists, y'all out here, many therapists in your own, having to talk to somebody for an entire hour and act like you care. Hello. It's a long time, right? I'm trying to curl your hair, but I got to put on the whole...
Right.
Yep.
Right, and then I got to remember what you said about your husband
The
last
next
week.
time
because
you're gonna update me
and
on
then
it.
you're gonna be hurt. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's really like, so there's something in it that's like even the coach can give exactly what somebody needs in terms of healing, just like a clinical psychologist or therapist. So it's more about how many years of school you had.
Makes sense. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Y'all learned something new today again. Okay,
Yeah,
so you left out one thing that you're an author.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Author.
It ain't the dishes. Okay.
Yes.
Let me tell y'all about It Ain't the Dishes.
I want to hear all
So
about
it is a couples workbook about like couples argue about the dishes all the time. We know that, right? But it ain't the dishes that you arguing about.
Right.
You arguing about how really you ever wash dishes, right? So you up there like got all the you busting suds, and then your person comes and put a fork in it.
And you're like,
Really?
Right.
So you had enough energy
Yeah.
to get off the couch and put your fork in this
And not
daggone
wash
water.
Yeah.
Right? And so now I'm feeling like you're not even thinking of the fact that I cooked today. I actually don't want to clean these dishes.
Right.
But I also know that you're tired and I'm trying to be considerate of you.
Yeah.
But you're actually not being considerate of me.
Me.
So now I'm about to lose it. Now I'm gonna snap. And now we're gonna talk about the dishes when we ain't really talking about the dishes.
Right.
We want to talk about consideration and thoughtfulness. So the entire book is on it ain't the dishes, it ain't the laundry, it ain't the trash. So all the things that couples argue about and what it really is underneath.
So you put like personal stories in there too?
No, we created dialogues, but the way my work is, I don't ever mind creating or bringing something relevant to the people.
Okay, so you just put something that's relatable that they will read it and be like, this is an example.
Oh yeah, I gave a full-on dialogue and then the way to do it the right way. So it's more about communication with your person.
And that book specifically is about relationships and marriage and stuff like that. So would you say that is your target audience for what you do?
No, I work with addicts, alcoholics. I work with those who are like struggle with their in their romantic relationships because of childhood trauma. So those things go together, right? They are literally, there's no way you're about to have this wonderful relationship as an adult and you haven't dealt or addressed with the things from your childhood. Not happening. Just letting you know, I don't care how numb you are, I don't care how much meditation and crystals you are praying to.
Yes.
Hello? Like you are really, if it's not addressed and you don't acknowledge it, you'll never change it. So now it's going to come out, it's going to seep out in your relationship. So that is a thing that I always love to go to. But I'm like, I have a specialty in grief. And then family interventions, as I was saying earlier, to finally have the difficult conversation with grandma. And she finally says out loud, I'm sorry. That's one of my favorite moments. Like it'd be 12 of y'all.
Lord, she done hit my soul.
No, it's a real thing because could you imagine?
Oh
like,
my God.
Oh, you felt it? Okay,
What?
hold my hand. It's real. It's real.
My grandmother.
Could you imagine just to be able to say out loud, not even to you, but to say it to your mother, for your mother then to acknowledge like, oh my God, because grandma didn't tell me I'm sorry. I did the same daggone thing to you. And now you over here like trying to fight with yourself, trying to be somebody's mother.
Yeah.
Because grandma didn't acknowledge her stuff.
How do you think that affects a person though?
What? Well, first you got to go into a place of like, I'm fine, right? Because everybody's fine.
Everybody's fine. Yes.
Everybody, how you doing? I'm fine.
Right.
I'm good.
I got this.
You're not.
Over here.
I like to, you see what I'm saying? You're going to cope with drinking. You're going to find you a BD. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Some trees. You're going to sex your way through the life, right? So that's not going to help, right?
Self-medicate right through
Okay, all day. You're going to like avoid the world because you're really good at like, I don't want to go to the party.
Right.
I don't even want to go to the family intervention.
Yeah.
So we're not going to deal with life and still call ourselves fine. You're not. You're bitter. Right. So the truth is, there's nothing wrong with healing. I believe in that.
Yes.
And taking the time for yourself. But if that becomes the way your life is, nah.
So do you how does a person recognize that this affected me? Because you could go through life and not knowing that it did, you know? How do you know that it actually affected me?
That's a good one. That's a good question. So my first thought would be find out what's your pattern that you can't stand about your own life.
Right.
Then figure out where did you learn it. So that would be the question. Where did I learn this? And so the first thought is like, did my mom or dad do this? Or was this normalized in my household? Or was it something that happened in my first relationship? So we sometimes always go to childhood when it could really be our first adolescent experience with people. Or the first time we had a job and this is the way they treat us. But whatever the trauma was in your life, it literally changed your lens for the world.
For the world.
That's the whole point.
Okay.
And so it first has to get to a place of, I don't like this in me. Where did it come from? Which, of course, when everybody's so fine, we're not looking at what is the problem.
So, like, a person that would be so okay with, I'm stubborn, they would come to you like, I'm stubborn and I don't care, that's just who I am, all right? Not knowing that could also be a trauma response. So things like those that people normalize so much that are trauma responses, right? So that's what I mean when I say how...
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, how do you recognize
Let me tell you. So as a Black American, right, I've been in South Florida for 9 years, and I've learned a lot about how the whole world of blackness is down here, right? So you got the West Indian folks and the Black Americans, and there's all this strife, which I didn't even know until I got here.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't know. No one told me.
Yeah.
Because where I came from in LA, no one was talking bad about someone that was Haitian.
Right.
No one was talking bad about, how Trinidadians are. No, I don't.
They're more zen.
I know that roti is good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that was all I knew. I didn't
Yeah.
know there was this whole, I didn't know that you didn't like me because you think I'm on Section 8 with 5 kids.
We're so toxic.
Ain't nothing lazy about a Black American all day, every day. I got
Right.
5 jobs. So don't take me out that category, right? And then change the way you think of us, just like we need to change the way we think of y'all. Because guess what? We came from the same daggone place.
Yeah.
And so I love the beauty of the West Indian culture, right? I always say there's things I could learn about it. So there's no saltiness even at it. But this was all to answer your question about the what? I forgot why I was even went into the culture.
People, the trauma responses of people being stubborn.
Oh,
stuff
yes.
like
So
that.
the idea is I meet with like, say if I had like, I don't know, maybe 3,000 patients, right? If I bet you at least 1,000 of them are West Indian. They ain't saying it out loud that they even come to me.
Right.
They ain't even gonna tell their family, right? So they could set each other free if they weren't so ashamed
If
of
they
something.
weren't so ashamed.
What? And so what happens in that office, literally, they're on the couch, and I'll just say, like you said, use the word stubborn. I'll say, wow, so that pride goes strong, huh? Where you learn that from? Right? And so the truth is, you got to let go of your pride. It's a beast. But
Right.
your pride, first of all, you're in the office. So you already let something go to say,
Yeah.
I need help. You already get points there, right? So we giving out points. Everybody need to get a little something. But then if the idea is, I didn't realize that I needed you, and I don't know how to ask for help, now we're
Right.
dealing with pride. So your feelings weren't taught to you that they matter in your household.
Right.
That's a problem. Now, the truth is, where'd it come from? Where we get it from? That ain't like all Jamaican mothers are this way. Yes and no, but we know where it came from
Right.
because when did her feelings matter to her mama?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I was going to say that.
Right?
That
And
generation
so-
before that.
All day. And so did we really deal with outside kids or were we just
Right.
happy that, I don't know, whoever we want to call him, Tony came home that day.
Right.
We just happy that at least he came home every night. That's what elder women are literally telling young women.
Right.
Yep.
Shut up talking to me like that. You ain't never gonna be my elder telling me, grandma, about what you gotta deal with. No, that's what you chose to deal with because that's all you knew.
Yeah.
We can read now. I said crazy stuff. We can read. I go to work.
Yes.
You see what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes.
Ain't no way.
We could
Yeah.
read.
We can read now. You see what I mean? Like we going to
Yes.
work. We ain't got this day.
Right.
You had this day because you couldn't go to work. And
Right.
you did wonderfully well with what you had.
With us,
She ain't doing all of that though.
Right.
Cause she getting the whole coin.
with us as Caribbean folks, what I would say, what I've learned, especially recently,
Okay.
the lineage from slavery, right? We were the rebellious,
Yes.
prideful ones
Yeah,
that
ones,
were
yeah.
dropped off in Jamaica.
Yes.
So that, including the trauma and everything that was passed down, became so normal that we looked at it like this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the normalization of
Right,
it.
normalization make you look at it like this is
Yeah.
us and our identity. now.
Yeah.
It's not what the it's supposed to be as far as society wise. That's not what we were supposed to be socialized to be.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But because it's so normalized,
The oppressed thinking,
Yeah.
that's
right,
what you're
and we did it
saying.
for so long
Yep.
that it became our identity.
Identity.
Right. So
Yeah.
now you just shut up and take it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally the post-traumatic slave syndrome
Yeah.
response.
Right.
That we just shut up and take it.
And I tell a lot of people that a lot of these things are passed down also through genetics when it comes to trauma.
No, you're
and
right.
all these things. A lot of these things are passed down through genetics. So if you don't break that cycle, it's going to be passed on to your kids too.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
the example that we saw was mommy's proud, daddy's proud. We don't have to share certain things because of my pride. We see that. That's our example. We don't know nothing else. Everything else
nothing
seems
else.
wrong to
Yeah.
us after
And
that.
it creates so much blockage in like every aspect of your life that you don't even realize that
if
it's
you're so stuck
blocking
on the one way.
of the,
Right.
yeah, of just my pride, you know.
Yeah, pride ain't no joke. That's one of the biggest things I've had to pull down. But once somebody acknowledges it, then they're like, oh, shoot, I do need a little help.
And we still
before
haven't
I
learned how to
go.
drop our guards. Is it?
Yeah,
A lot of
that's
us.
another
We
thing.
don't
Right,
know.
because the vulnerability, come on.
Yes, we don't know how to be
Vulnerability
vulnerable
can be
at
sexy,
all.
though. I try to tell people all the time. I do understand if you are violated in some way that took your vulnerability. It makes sense that the V word is like, nah, I ain't about to
Yeah.
be too nothing with you,
Right.
lady.
Right.
But at the same time, it can also be your strength if you actually own it. So you can't hurt me by what I tell you.
Right.
So then it's like you can be vulnerably strong. And once you get that,
Right.
that's me all day. I try my best to do that like as a clinician. And I try to do that like as a woman. I mean, just in life with my friends.
I learned that when I was young. To when you like they say when you reveal it, a person can't use it against you.
Ever.
I learned that when I was younger, but I didn't know I was learning.
Oh, that's what it was.
Because
that's what it
when
was.
you were younger, when they gave you nicknames, they told you that either if you don't accept it, they're gonna continuously call you that nickname.
And then you have no choice but to.
You have no choice but to accept
one.
it. But when you accept it right out the gate, now they can't use it against you because it doesn't affect you that way. But when it affects you, they're gonna use it as a weapon
every time.
Right.
I didn't know I was learning that when I was growing up.
Right.
So now I have this identity where I'm not afraid to tell you that this happened to me. What you gonna do? You gonna use it against me? I already told you that.
I already told you that.
I already told you. And the good thing is you didn't have to go numb to it. So a lot of people think that because they didn't react, they went numb.
Right.
That's a trait. That's also a trauma response.
True.
So it's an avoidant way to literally like turn it off.
Right.
So you're gonna disassociate to the whole world.
Right.
And now you trying to be invisible. Do you know how many people want to be invisible? They want to be this whole wallpaper like, can you see me? Like just invisible, right? Because it hurts me because I'm so scared that you'll see through me. That's the it.
Right.
So I'm gonna stay numb, and I'm not gonna feel for years.
I'm interested to know what got you to the point of saying you wanted to explore this field.
Yeah, because
what part of your
initially,
life, yeah,
I really want to know because there's a lot to carry for one person.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? So the two things. Growing up in a 2-parent household and watching, this is really how it kind of would work. I would watch my parents like argue in the car and then go to church and then act like they're fine, touch your neighbor and say, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, y'all not just
Turn
arguing.
to your neighbor.
Right. So I was bothered. I remember being bothered as a kid that y'all are fronting. So in my mind, take your issues to the Lord, but don't act like you're fine because I saw through you. Now, of course, I'm young, so I can't I can't say everything.
You articulate it the way you
want. But I was
to.
bothered because I always say I wish I could help the world to just be who they are. So in my office, I always say you don't have to be effing fine for nobody here. I literally say crazy stuff like that, and then you literally can just come in. Could you imagine just going somewhere where like you can just be?
Right.
So I give people permission to be. So that's the one. The other one is I'm living in Houston, Texas. I'm 24 years old. Okay, y'all hear me? Y'all with me? I leave being a principal, and that was making a nice little coin.
A principal?
Right? A principal of elementary school.
Really?
24 years old, right? Yeah. That's because, I'm a little bold, if you can't tell. I really act like this. Okay, so I'm a principal, and I leave it because I didn't really like the politics that go along with it. You're really like more in the boardroom, with the superintendent and not with the kids anymore. So it wasn't fun anymore. Right. So then there was this job at like a boot camp. Y'all remember those old school, I don't know how old y'all are, but y'all remember those old school talk shows where the bad teenagers would go to like these boot camps?
Yeah. Like Maury would send them out.
Oh, yeah! I worked at one of those and loved it. Oh, do you understand? In Texas, it was like the horses, the whole nine, the ranch.
Oh, wow.
And then we would teach them like how to take care of something more than themselves, which is its own psychology.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm loving being like Lieutenant Tasha, right?
Yeah.
Just a bachelor's, didn't have the, not just, had a bachelor's because I don't like to minimize anything, but I had a bachelor's. And literally, so one day I come. This is 2006. Remember when you asked me when I started?
Yes.
So I literally come to this this ranch of mainly white clinicians. So I come in with my little, I don't know what car I was driving, but I remember it was a dirt road. And this white psychologist comes to the car all hella like, Tasha, can you help me? Right? And she was like, can you help me? And we'll call her Amanda. Right? And she's like, can you go help me? Amanda just left my office storming out. You get this? And so I'm like, okay, where is she?
Wait, the person is a psychologist that come to you.
She come to me to ask me to go and talk to her kid. That left her office. She said she just stormed out my office and then she just went towards the trees. And I'm like, okay, so I'm looking for her. And then I find her in her room. Totally cutting herself. I'm talking about all the way down, right? And so I said, sorry, I missed the whole point. So she said, thank you, Tasha. You're the only one that can really get through to these girls. First of all, I'm making a whole $30,000 a year. You're making $90,000. I clearly need your job because you just asked me to talk to your patients.
Yeah, I did your job.
Let me go back to school because clearly this is a natural thing for my life crisis, which is, remember we talked about this, just being black.
Yeah.
Crisis is unfortunately a norm. Just coming out the womb, just figuring it out. So yeah, we gonna make what Dr. Deborah makes. We're gonna make the same thing. We're just gonna go back to school for 5 years. So that, she was acknowledging my worth while I was making a third of her salary.
But we still want to know the outcome though. How did that?
Oh yeah, so the girl bleeding all the way down. Okay, and so I'm literally, and I said, Amanda, are you okay? And she was like, no. And she said whatever her trigger was or the trauma. And I was like, all right, so I want you to go in the bathroom and clean yourself up. And then we'll talk about which did you like better. Did you like the cut or did you like the blood running down?
That in her head, it was like,
she's like,
Now
I
she
want to
started
talk.
thinking.
Now I want to talk to me.
Yeah.
What? That wasn't in the book. That was literally sent from the Lord.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that was just a natural idea of she's crying out for something. Let's figure out what the
You
hell
stayed right. I love that you stayed in that moment.
Right.
We're gonna talk
You're
about
not in
this moment.
trouble.
I don't want to know what you did. I don't want to know why you did it. I want to know. We're talking about this right
We're
here.
talking about this. First, clean yourself up because I ain't touching whatever you're doing on your bed.
Yeah.
Then let's talk about what you.
Nah, she messed her up with that though.
Yeah.
Because
in a
then she
good
started
way.
think.
Messed her up in a good way.
Now
Yeah.
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so true cutters, if anybody is watching, right? A lot of times for parents that have teenagers that are cutters, sometimes it can be trendy, right? So we're having a whole cool like design, right? So we really want people to see it, or we really are covering it up.
So basically a tattoo
watch your
could be
kids that
too.
are wearing all these
long sleeves.
These long sleeves in this hot climate, right? Or they never take off, like you never see their skin. And so the truth is a lot of times they can feel the pain from the cut, which they're just taking their mind to be distracted from the emotion. Right? So that cut happens. And then the blood, literally, they like enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like you see that I bleed and you see that I hurt because no one else is acknowledging my hurt. But this blood is acknowledging that I hurt and then I'm real. We doing all that now I ain't saying it's a coping skill that we need to all go to.
Right.
But I just want to explain for those. Yeah, it's like, because the first thing we do is, this person's emo, what's wrong with them?
Right.
No, they're secretly suffering just like you are with everything else you're doing when ain't nobody listening.
Right.
So, but a person that gets tattoos just to numb the pain,
What?
that's the
Self-destructive all day.
Listen.
They enjoy pain, just like piercings. I have them.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. I love them.
Yeah.
Right, but I enjoy it. I like to embrace the pain. I like to lean into it.
When I started getting tattoos, that was the reason, and then I realized I actually liked them, like for the outcome of it.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
And then I started to use numb cream because I'm like, I don't really like the pain anymore.
Oh, okay. So then you got to a place of healing.
Yeah.
Like a healed place.
Like I don't need to get this because I'm going through something. I want to get this because I want to get this to symbolize something.
Yeah, it's a form of self-harm.
Yeah.
And there's folk that, they pull their own eyebrows out. And
I do that. I have trichomania.
Okay, see, did she say it with a smile?
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't know what it is.
Okay, so tell the people.
So trichomania is a disorder of hair pulling. And my mom was like, that's why you started doing hair, because you always had to have your hands in hair. So yeah, from a kid, I used to pluck my eyebrows and my aunt used to whoop my butt.
Is it the same thing as biting your fingernails?
A little anxiety. It is helping with anxiety. So you with that.
And I realized it was
because it's
an
impulsive.
anxious thing.
That's their point. It's really impulsive.
I realized it was an anxious thing because when I go on vacation and stuff, I'm not doing it. Because I'm not thinking, I'm not worried about anything. But as soon as I get on the plane, I'm like, because now I'm thinking I'm going home. I got this, I got this. And I started to embrace it, and it helped me to like say, okay, you're stressing.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
And it's the same for people who like to pull out their scabs, right? So something is literally about to heal, and they're like, nope.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's psychology in its own. Like, I don't even want to heal. I want it to take longer to heal. Versus because the scab feels good to come off.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the one I never heard of.
Popping people that are like, let me get that white head.
Yeah.
What's your
Your
you a
obsession
little
with it.
young. Is it my back or you are a little evil?
It's something to take your mind off of what you're kind of going
issue
through.
is. And that is, that's the beauty of it.
So when I was younger, I always try to learn from every little thing, and I still do that until this day, right? I pull influences from everywhere. Okay. Like I'll play a video game and I will learn something from playing a video game. I'll play music and learn something from that.
So you're always analyzing.
Always analyzing something, learning from something. So do you pull your motivation or your education from somewhere, as far as not even just by you going to school, like with the girl, right? You saw her cutting herself and there was a natural instinct to be like, why? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so my first thought is, do you sleep well at night?
I do.
Okay, very good. So it's your natural self. You're not having any anxiety.
No.
You're literally just fine.
I always want to learn. That's me.
Your mind is always moving.
Yeah.
So we have the same brain. So I had to ask to make sure that it was healthy, because I'm the same way, but I sleep 8 hours every night. Right?
For me, I sleep light. That's the only difference. I sleep very light. So
you like always waiting for something?
No. It's more like if something happens, like if the lights turn on, I wake up.
Feel that.
Right.
Dang.
Just like everyone, my life is jam-packed. I'm always on the move, but self-care is top priority for me. That's why I'm a part of the Texture Club at my favorite salon. My easy monthly subscription to the Texture Club solves everything.
Yeah, that's for me.
And
Like,
then it takes you a while to go back to sleep, or you'll.
Yeah, it takes me a little while.
And then he sleeps in the morning. He's nocturnal.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He's a DJ.
All right, so
that does happen.
Right, but my room is pitch dark.
Yeah,
because you know it's going to be
the light's
going
gonna
to
wake me up.
Yeah.
So, and then if there's noise, the only thing that'll make me sleep through that noise is if I'm drunk or I'm super tired. I'm gonna sleep through that. I cannot. Well, if the noise was on before I fell asleep, I'll probably sleep through it.
Okay. See, I wanted to make it very natural. Everybody thinks when you can't, when you have your brain always moving, then something's wrong with you.
Right.
And so I tell people all the time, some people are just always on 12.
Right.
Which your brain is. So is mine.
Meditation helps me.
Oh yeah. Something, or even workouts later, like when it goes into beast mode, it's like, oh, now I feel better.
Right.
But to answer your question, I think that I know that I literally have a prophetic gift. Right. So I knew this at like age 12, and I didn't know really how to use it. So I was like, I'm not about to be a preacher. I'm not scripted. I'm not going on a pulpit. I remember when someone told me, they were like, I can see what you're doing, and I ran from that because that wasn't what I was interested in, because I like outreach, like how you guys are doing what you do. Like ministry can look like this too.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so literally I will think it. I will know that I'll think about like my training as a psychologist, right? Then I'll go into me as a woman. Then I'll go into like kind of the prophetic.
Exactly right.
And then I literally will drop that. Like the voice of God just told me to talk about earlier about the grammar. That was just an example, right?
And it took me out.
Right. So that wasn't even for me.
All right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're just always selflessly. But the only way you can work like this, because people are like, oh, I want to be like that. First of all, be yourself. Right?
Yep.
Second of all, you have to get a pure heart to do what I do.
Definitely.
So true.
Yes.
Right? So if you're trying to be seen, or you know what I mean, for the gram, I'm good. Right?
It's
So
not gonna work.
not saying that if one person sees this, because I want y'all to have this can go viral for y'all, but this ain't for the likes for me.
Exactly.
Right. This is even for y'all. It's probably for the cameraman. You know what I mean? It gets deep to where it's like she's supposed to be here today, and then that was enough.
Right.
Yeah. That's the point. And if that happens, it's like, wow, thanks God.
Right. And then for me, I could actually, like, we're talking now, just like you said, the grandma thing, it just comes out. Sometimes it's just like the right time. Like,
It just comes
something
out.
told me to say it, and it happened.
Right, but we say something, but we know it's greater than the something.
Exactly.
Right, we always minimizing God. We can't say it out
But
loud.
the thing is, I didn't used to look at it like I didn't used to look at it like that.
Oh no, I believe you.
Right, but now I do.
I love that.
Right. So even the podcast, I was having a conversation with somebody about talking about stuff like this.
And it
I
came
said,
out.
It just came out like, damn, I should start a podcast. I was like, yeah.
See, I get it. I love it. And you got to go with it and just like see what happens.
Exactly. Everything I've done in my life it's like I heard it somewhere. Realizing what it is.
That's my real life right there.
Yeah.
Every state I move to.
And the thing is, because I'm so curious, like you said, always learning and pulling from different things. That's one of the other things.
Right.
Too.
So then you're also discerning also. Because you see through some things too.
And I don't pretend for the cameras or nothing. I'm the preachy friend.
Yeah, you're the preachy friend.
I'm kind of like that too. That's why some people can't stand it, because they're like, I know you about to just go down this whole rabbit hole.
So do clients like stress you out? Like you realize that I cannot help that this client
Stress me out.
Like you just realize that I can't help you. You just got to.
Yeah, like you get to a point, you're like, okay, we've been doing this for however long sessions, and I'm not a helper for you.
Y'all are right. So I do fire myself. I try to.
Okay.
Because I'm literally like, we've been meeting each other once a month for the past 4 years. Are you sure you still want to see me once a month? And the truth is, I don't want them to become dependent on me. I want you to be great and come back to me when there's a crisis.
Right.
But they get concerned about, if I'm doing well now, if I don't have you, will I go back to my old self? Right. So they're just scared.
So
there's a healthy dependence, but I don't feed into it.
Because I just kind of thought about just me being a hairstylist. Like, I'm not gonna see a client now and then. If I see a client now and they come back to me a year, I'm not gonna say don't. I'm not gonna decline them.
Yeah.
So
I love that. When they're better, I'm like, go.
Yeah.
And come back when you need me. And if I don't hear from you in 4 years, that's fine. Because there's going to be the new life changes. Like somebody passed away. You're trying to have a baby and cannot. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, now we can talk about something else. But when at some point, the stress I would say is, so this is if I felt, it's interesting the word stress, because stress means it's negative to me.
Yes, it does. It does.
So what I'm bothered by is shallow, superficial folk.
Okay.
And so normally they don't like me too well, right? Because we swimming in the ocean. We ain't in the pool. We going straight to the ocean on the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? So when people are just like so shallow, I'm like, oh wow. Like there's a lady, for real, there's a couple in my office. What day is it? Tuesday? So this was last Thursday. There was a couple in my office, and she literally said out loud, he was like, don't you want to grow? I want you to just grow. He was trying to like
Motivate.
teach her something, right? And she was like, I'm done growing. She said that out loud. And so I said, did you hear her? Okay, so now we need to talk about compatibility. Because here you are, is putting the square peg in a circular hole, and it's loud and clear.
It's not gonna fit.
Yeah.
She's bothered by you trying to help her grow. She's bothered. You trying to help her lose some weight.
You think that's a
She
trauma
mad
response?
about. Say it again.
You think that's a trauma response?
Hers?
Yeah.
No, I think she's hella comfortable. And so you can't ever want it more than anybody.
True.
Right? So if you
I learned that.
I had to learn that too.
I learned
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's like if who you are, the person that you are in love with or falling for, doesn't receive all of you, run,
Yeah.
please, for the rest of your whole life. Right? And then they'll come back when they need you because you were actually their inspiration. They weren't yours.
Right.
Yeah.
So that pushes us into relationships now. But she loves this topic. I don't know why she loves
That's
this
her
topic
thing
so
right
much.
here?
She loves the relationship stuff.
So yes, I'm down.
Because to me, relationships, they're universal. I always tell them it's like everyone wants or needs someone. You know, to
Everyone
me.
wants and needs someone.
Or needs someone.
Or needs.
I
Like,
don't look
it's
at it that
always,
way.
That's just how I
I don't look at it that way. I feel like you need yourself first. You know, you are who you need first, and then everybody else gonna add to what you already have existing or have going on. That's what I think. I think I can't wait on you to come in to make what I have going on better.
True, but how long do you stay alone in your aloneness? Because that doesn't mean lonely. Before you want somebody to go on and give you a hug or go to dinner with.
I mean,
Yeah.
How long is your span?
until it's worth it. Until the person I'm gonna give this time to is worth it.
Once you meet the new
Once you
person.
meet the right person.
Okay. So the question would then be the span of how long it is before you do need. Right. So are you desperate for it? Because sometimes
Right.
we move out of desperation.
Because remember you were saying what the
which is
mom
what you're
said
saying.
to the daughter.
Yeah, it's not a good
Yeah.
look.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
We don't want to be desperate.
But now we're just
Yeah.
attaching out of desperation. So they desperate, you desperate. Now we need each other.
Right.
Right. But there is a place once you get to that wholeness that are you attracted to my wholeness? You know how sexy that is? What?
That is. What's one of the most common
Problems.
issues or problems that you see with your relationship customers, clients?
Oh, patience.
Patience.
For me, I call them patience. Common.
I think what the common one would be
There's a
is
lot
communication.
of folks.
I think communication would probably be that.
Okay, so the reason why most people divorce are from sex, money, and parenting.
I've heard that. too.
Period.
Yeah.
So blended families, whoa, right? Because who's with the father of their child? You know what I'm saying? Anymore. I mean, I hate to call it that, right? So
It makes
now
sense.
we got to blend, and now you got to like him, but then we got twins together, and now we
Right.
got to like each other if we want to kind of do this right.
Right.
And then y'all got a co-parent, and then you got a whole new boo. Right, and now all these kids is cousins, brothers, sisters, right? And we all supposed to go to the barbecue good?
Right,
No, because we
right.
ain't even dealt with when y'all couldn't stand each other at first. Right, so I said that because that's the normal family now in the office.
right.
So it is 2 people, but they're representing 7 kids.
From each.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Or
just
even if
over
it's 3 kids, they're representing
Right.
few relationships. We're representing, did you come from a 2-parent household? Did you come from a foster care system?
Oh, man.
All this is happening in the room, and now we're talking about the relationship. Now we're talking about your whole life on this couch.
Right.
So
right.
So blended families
families,
is a hard one
right.
because it's the norm now.
So there's one thing that I see very common now with younger people. I mean, some older people do it too. Is you break up today, next week you're on the horse dating again with that hurt that you haven't dealt with from the previous relationship.
Okay, are you saying like going on the dating app right after we're done?
Basically, we break up. I'm hurt, and I try to go out there right after that.
Yeah,
Not dealing with
that's what he's saying.
Not dealing with the
Yeah.
hurt that's going on, but you want to
not
move on.
dealing with it.
Right, not dealing with that hurt, but you want to move on right away after
Well,
a
because you
breakup.
probably need some validation. That's what you're looking for, right? So you want to have Monica, Keisha, and Tyra to call you and tell you that I'm not what Lisa told me. So it's subconscious. You're looking for validation.
And it just so happens that it'll be in a partner.
Yeah,
I think
because
what I'm speaking about is more like the distraction aspect of it.
Well, I'm agreeing, but the reason is you're still not dealing with it, and you need them to make you feel great because you're not going to deal with why she didn't like your butt.
Exactly. And but even the breakup, like, let's say for instance, I'm with somebody and they cheated on me, and I feel like I did nothing wrong, right? I'm hurt, but instead of processing it, crying, going to therapy, dealing with it in healthy ways.
Oh, we just keep going.
I just keep going. I go to the next person.
And
I
now
go to
you become
alcohol.
the cheater. Don't forget that part. Because now you ain't gonna let nobody do whatever happens to you.
Right. So you transition into being the person that hurt you.
Because you're gonna hurt somebody before they hurt you now.
Right.
But again, we're still not dealing.
So hurt people in that
They
aspect.
do. But it's interesting because what I've learned about hurt, when you're hurt, it's hard to be nice when you're hurt. If we really break this down, when you're in the middle of being hurt, and as poised and trained as I am, I'm not good at it. I will literally. Everybody knows that part that knows me.
Because you haven't done any processing within your own self, so to at least to be there.
I'm hurt.
It's hard.
So do you have a therapist?
Yeah.
Nice.
Always. It's a lady out the Bronx, which can deal with my personality, and she's pretty bold. She's older than me, but I wouldn't mind somebody that was in my age group. But yeah, she can deal with my spice. She can deal with my lifestyle. She can deal with the brand. She can just deal with.
What is your back to Zen? Because I interviewed a sex therapist a while back, and she said that one of her things that she does after every client is she just lays out on the floor and recenters herself. And I was
Does she?
That's really cool. Yeah.
She goes on the floor.
Yeah, she typically does.
It's like
virtual.
meditation.
Yeah, it's like a meditation form. But she looks as far as recentering, because now she's not centered after dealing with maybe, a client or a patient that was.
So it's interesting. So when I'm doing public speaking, I always take my shoes off, so I get it. I like to stay grounded. I like my feet to touch the floor.
You know nowadays parents.
So I do get that.
Parents don't like to let their kids walk barefoot.
Yeah, but I'm not. I didn't listen when I was 12. I'm not listening at 42.
It's
so they all said it. You know what's gonna happen to your feet? And I'm like, no, I don't have fungus. You might have, but I don't.
Right.
But to answer your question is, so after a long day, before or after a long day,
or even
I love. Oh, go ahead.
Or even before another client.
Oh no! So I have back-to-back sessions for 12 hours.
Oh, okay.
So I pee from 11:58 to 12 o'clock, and then I'm having you come to my office.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have there's like the 10-minute.
Okay.
I don't have that.
Okay.
Because when I'm working with somebody, I would love my therapist to see me for 59 minutes.
Right.
I don't need you to be cut off at 50.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I don't need to recenter between.
Okay.
That's that get ready, stay, instead of get ready, stay ready.
Yeah.
So that's a skill though, because I don't know any other clinician that sees 12 patients in a day.
Yeah, that's rough,
Everybody sees between like their sweet spot 4 to 7. But I love listening to stand-up comedy.
After a long day?
What?
I love
Cat
it.
Williams, I'm like, he's dumb. That's how I'm driving home.
Right. Wilding out.
Just laughing, cracking
All
up.
of it, just stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
like on the Sirius radio. Oh, I love to laugh.
Nice.
And then we're gonna get some crab legs, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have a glass of wine.
Yes.
We're gonna call our girlfriends and be Tasha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't take it home with me, because I always say, like, if I'm helping you, because I work in the trenches at times. So even when I work with rapists or killers, I'm like, I'm trying to help them kill less people or rape less boys.
Right.
But today, I cannot help them rape less boys less than what they did from coming into my office. Right? So I'm just like, we're going to go from 7 to 5, 5 to 3, 3 to 1. And I'm going to know people be like, you work with rapists? I do. Who else going to work with them?
Right.
Everybody else judging them.
Right.
So for me, who's going to work with the batterers? And women beat on men more than we even talk about, right? So I need to talk to the woman that's throwing her hands at the man. And the man, and so for me, if I can help him hit his wife less, but I'm still going to eat on this crab leg by 9:30.
I want to go back to that, because I want to know what that's like, talking
go
to
ahead.
somebody like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
part.
the rapist.
Sex
Because
offender.
when you just mentioned it, it was like, damn, nobody has ever actually sat
Oh,
down
I
and
love
talked
working
to
with them.
somebody that
Right.
does
I love
that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what do they have to say?
And to add on to him real quick, because I know with nurses and stuff like that, they have these mental breakdowns where they're like, this is a lot, and I just need to let it out, because we're human at the end of the day, no matter what the profession is. Because I've cried with a client before, and typically it's a client that I've known for a long time, I've actually got teared up with a client. So,
but you have that. There's a little bit of gray with you though. So you're also like a friend, a sister, cousin.
Right.
Yeah, I don't allow myself to feel that.
Okay.
I'm just happy that I'm in position to help you rape less boys. I'm here to help you not lust after little girls. I'm here to help you stop beating on your wife, right? Like that's so, and in my mind, I'm just glad to be in the room, and I'm honored that you let me in, because everybody else is looking at you crazy.
Yeah.
When the truth is,
so like I was saying, what are those answers that you get when you talk
what
to
are they
people
saying?
like
Okay,
that?
so let me see. So I work with a gangbanger today, right? So he's been out of prison for maybe like 3 years. So the cool thing is that he's out of prison. The not so cool thing is he's hella institutionalized, right? So he's been in prison for the last 13, 14 years.
Right.
His kids are like 20, so they were in 20 something. So he went in when they were like 6, 7, 8, right? So he coming back trying to be somebody's daddy. No one's listening to you, sir.
Yeah.
Right? And let's not be mad at the kids because they're not listening to you. So now you get to come into the office and be vulnerable and say that I feel like I can't control my own children. They don't listen to me. And so I much rather they listen to me when I was in, right? Because the whole promises that you gave them is when I get out, we'll be this way. Now, have you lived up to that, sir? So now we got to deal with the shame of not even knowing how to show up. We talk this talk, but we don't really know how to walk it at the end of the day. So now for that moment, I learned to even talk to the kids. So now I'm making drive-bys in the living room to say to all these 20-some-year-olds, so your dad is out of prison. We all know what he did. Anybody judging? Yeah. Now we got the daughter that can say it out loud. Sisters talk about it out loud. Yeah, I don't like what he did to her. So he want me to be my dad, right? So you trying to be kumbaya, my dad, I love you, but I know what you did to this lady.
Why you get the time?
Hello? So yeah, I don't really see you like a dad. You get, so now we got to reframe everybody's eyes for someone that is looking for remorse or looking for like a forgiveness,
sympathy,
redemption, right? And so the same way that same person, there are so many stories like this where you're so ashamed of how people see you that you either stay doing what you're doing, right? Or you just then close up and then you say they don't like me. So we've been waiting for you for the last 15 years to get out of jail. Now you in, but because we didn't ultimately just have these out loud, right? And that's a killer. He killed lots of people. Would just say that,
and that fits the whole demographic of killers, rapists, all of them, because it's like, you know, you feel so ashamed. Nobody wants to hear you out.
You feel ashamed, so now you go internal, and so I am here to say, like, no, come back, right? So for instance, you asked, what do they say? So I had to work with a guy. This was for real. Let me break it down. So I had to break it down to, why are you attracted? He was maybe in his 40s, 50s. Why are you attracted to young girls, not women?
Young girls.
And so we would go slow. Now, I know this is kind of deep, but we can talk about anything.
Of course, go ahead.
So I would say, what would you like? And I'm talking about like down to do you like that their little breasts look like mosquito bites sitting right here? Right? Because these things is going down here at 42. But you ain't even interested in my 42-year-old. Right. You interested in these little mosquito bites that's the 12-year-old. You get what I'm saying? Because you ain't sometimes even going for the 12-year-old that look like a woman. You going for the one that look like she need to be swinging in the playground. So what's really going on? But the truth is, you like the power that you get working, or really at some point as the predator for the prey, right? So you're enjoying the power of she's scared of me. Right. Now we get to know why. Why do you need to overpower someone that you now want to have sex with? Oh, I get it. Because you actually were molested by your own mother.
Wow.
So what power differential happened there where your mom taught you how to fist her at the age of 7?
Holy
Right? So now we got to talk about it. So everybody talking about, we don't talk to that uncle, right? And so he's hella ostracized in life. Not talking about grandma's ass was the one who couldn't keep her hands
to herself. Yeah.
Hello. But who gonna talk about that?
Right.
Who talking about their mama?
But they don't get to talk about that because
all you see is what I do to little girls. So there's something about power that matters. So let me tell you. So as much as you're like, okay, now I get it. So now there's like the equal level playing field, right? So there's not as much judgment anymore. It's messed up what he has done to girls, the young ones. But there's something, if we're trying to move forward, now it's like, why don't you find a young woman like in her 30s that has like has a smaller stature? That's the intervention. You get what I'm saying? So that you don't have to deal with the young women. So I get the idea is like, he don't need to be around my daughter. He don't need to be around my niece. Yeah, but he actually wants to learn how to be in society, but he's thrown off by how he was introduced to sex.
Right, you want to learn how to exist.
So while you eating grandma's neck bones, greens, macaroni and cheese, she's actually the reason why your uncle is all type of
messed up.
Okay, but we at her dinner table, and we telling
nobody
him,
talking about her,
and we ain't telling nobody talk about her,
nobody
because that chick is so good.
Nobody probably told.
No one talk. Okay, so now bring her in here.
Bring her in.
Yeah, let's talk to her. Let's talk to her, because we're gonna acknowledge that, and then you get to set him free.
Right.
And once you set him free, now he isn't having all this trauma that's unresolved that he's taking out on these young
Now he's like,
girls.
oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take away what my used to be need from what I experienced. So that was that would probably be about 3 to 6 months of me working with it.
Right. So this
offender.
topic it kind of flows into the next question, because you did a live and you talked about suicide is contagious. And I know a lot of these people.
Suicide is contagious.
Yeah, and I noticed, a lot of sex offenders, a lot of people that's done stuff, they eventually commit suicide because they just don't know where else to go.
So true.
So can you elaborate on what do you mean by suicide is contagious?
Okay, so let's start with the idea that when you are suicidal, and I'll own as if, I don't know if anybody ever wants to raise their hand, so I won't put anybody on that. If you ever had suicidal thoughts, let me tell you how normal it is just to have at least one thought one day, right?
Yeah.
Now, you might live there, which is what we talked about earlier in terms of a baseline. But the truth is, I can remember in 2014, I moved from Los Angeles to Florida, and I had this degree, and I was Dr. TASHA, okay? I had this 3-story little townhouse, and all I could remember was, I'd much rather be married and have somebody to come home to than this daggone degree. I remember that. And I would come home, and I called it the 501 blues. So every time my ignition went out at the end of the day, I now didn't have anything to do. I didn't have anyone to see. Now, I was new here, didn't know anyone. But the truth is, I started to think to myself, this pain that I felt, and I knew it was in the gut. Some people feel it in their neck, right? Some people feel it in their stomach. Some people feel it in their heart.
In their throat.
Some people, throat. I mean, the knees hurting, whatever it is. Physically, sometimes you got a lot of issues, but it has nothing to do with your physical health. It means your mental health is manifesting in a physical way. So that's number one. So I literally said to myself, I was like, I don't want to feel this. I don't know how long it'll take for me to get married. This is a young 33-year-old young woman that is like at the top of her game, but literally having suicidal thoughts because I didn't want to feel this pain. So I didn't want to be here. Now, did I do anything? No. But I remember the thought is called passive suicidal ideation. So you have this idealized fantasy of, if I go, will they miss me? Right? So that's the conversation. Or, I hate being such a burden to my mom. Or, I'm such an effed up individual. So these are really suicidal thoughts. So why not leave? So when I use the word suicidal, the contagion of the suicidality really is, if this happened in my family or it happened with my friends, right? It happened in senior year in high school. You learn that day that it works. That's the truth. You learn. So in your mind, there's some parents or there's some families where you see one suicide on one side of the tree, and then you see hella suicides to follow because that one person taught everybody else that it works. Right? So it's an option. Y'all get that?
Okay, so it basically opened their mind like, this might be an option for me.
Right, the same way we now gamble because Junebug did it all our life. So we're just, it's just another way to deal with life. So
if we never heard about it, it probably would never be an option.
You're not even thinking about it.
Right.
And so that's that. But the truth is, I always say, try not to judge someone that is struggling in this area because all they're doing is saying, I don't want to feel this much hurt anymore. That's the core of it. Suicidal, there's also a part of having a plan and premeditation, right, of the idea of how you do it. So there's, in terms of education, so women usually do it non-violently and men do it violently, right? So a lot of times, like, not too many women trying to jump in front of the train, but a lot of young males or men,
do that,
right? Or the hanging. Not a lot of women you find hanging themselves. They're trying to take a whole bunch of pills.
My client's uncle just hung himself.
Yeah, you don't hear about a lot of women though.
Right.
So men, they taking it quickly. They want it to happen like kind of like there will be pain, and women kind of want this like passive way to go.
So what are solutions to getting rid of those type of thoughts?
So that's a good question. Number one, acknowledge it as something I don't want to feel anymore.
Okay.
That's first, because some people are like, their baseline is I'm always like this. The second part of suicidal thoughts of a coping skill would be, of course, to talk to someone. It don't have to be me. I tell people all the time. You go to the website. I'll see you in about 3 months, right? And when we do that, if there is a crisis, if it's a crisis, I will send you to someone that can see you sooner. So talking to someone and not just your pastor. Pastors at times were called to preach. They were not called to counsel. And I tell them that to their face. I work with pastors myself. They're my patients. So ain't nothing wrong with the Lord to talk to the Lord, pray, and have some accountability. That's the whole point of kind of what I do. I'm giving you some accountability. In a week, let's figure out what we can do differently. A lot of people that are depressed or suicidal, they ain't even like taking showers. They're not going to work. So there's a lot of different kind of symptoms that are happening that a lot of people miss. And this is just like, they're always so sad. And it's like, how sad are they is what you're supposed to do as a loved one and then see what they say. And possibly just you caring enough is half of the daggone battle.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, like you said, just show signs of.
Yep.
There's people that lock themselves away, like you said, don't take showers.
It's deep.
It pushes you into a place and wants to keep you there.
Oh yeah,
You know, so
you're
I
in
feel
the
like-
hole. You in the hole.
I feel like a lot of times we people have to find ways to pull themselves out of that. Like even with self-care things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like going to the gym, even spreading your bed, I heard will help
Yeah,
with
will
something
help.
like
To be
that.
the first chore of the day.
After of the day, you know, something to make yourself feel better
Yeah.
about yourself. Because a lot of times when we do things and we accomplish something, that joy that we feel, it helps to build back the dopamine in our mind. Like
Yeah, that's a
literally,
good
when you're sad for a long time, the dopamine levels just reduce and reduce and reduce and reduce. So now no happy hormone is in your brain because you have no use for it. So it just diminishes. So I feel like when you do things to build yourself up, you read books, you go to the gym, you know, you comedy. Like I said, I love
it.
to laugh at comedy. You know, meditation, things to balance yourself out. Even like spreading your bed, doing your chores, fixing up your room, doing your laundry, cleaning your house. Like I'll literally tomorrow I'm gonna go buy some paint and paint my room just to feel like you feel accomplished doing something like that. You know what I'm saying?
And do something for others. So that's something that's a big deal.
True,
Sometimes when you
yes.
ever want to get out of your own head, do something for others.
Yeah.
It really does help.
Right.
And nobody likes to bring up sex. Okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a good O. Okay? I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's amazing that we're always talking about read a book. What if we just want an O? What if we just want to have an O?
So when you say, oh, just tell them what you
That's
mean.
all I'm saying. So you are right, right? So the truth is, at the end of the day, right? And not everybody knows how to achieve one, mainly women, right? 1 out of 3 women only have achieved one, right? So this even how to get to her. Like, how do we get to that? Oh, how do we get to that? And
When you say, oh, you mean
orgasm.
That's
Sorry.
Yeah. I wanted to let everybody else know because I knew what you was talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's good. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. Do you understand? It's good. Okay. And so, but everybody doesn't realize that you could. So as angry as we sometimes can be, if you have a consistent partner, at times you are sexually frustrated.
Yeah.
But a lot of women haven't been taught to be sexually free. So they sitting there talking about, I don't know why he hasn't flirted with me. Why don't you initiate something?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Hold that brother's hand.
Right.
He ain't had nobody play with his ears
Right.
since 1999.
I'm like, hey, girl.
Right. And so it's a big deal because in certain gender roles, right, culturally, it's wait for the man to initiate. If y'all don't let go of this 1955, whatever that is, it's not working.
Man.
Right. And the truth is the man doesn't also, in those type of relationships, you never feel desired because you always have to start.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And then I don't get it as often as I want because I'm waiting for you to want me. But you hella tired from whatever work. But we can get this done in 5, 10 minutes. People kill me. How long is a session?
It's so true.
It ain't that long. It is not that long.
So do you
We
think
don't need that many positions to
you think
get to it.
a depressed person or suicidal
Oh,
person
that
is-
thing ain't even working. It ain't even working. She's not even aroused, right? You actually might get excited until you don't, right? And that's all in a matter of, because you already don't feel good about you.
Right.
Right? So, and you're already wondering, I wonder if I'm performing well.
Right.
This is all happening in the midst of the
in the midst
kissing.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, you can't even get to your foreplay, right? We at 3.5 play and you're already,
Right.
because you're so critical about, am I good enough? And all that is going to come out in your sex game, when you're horizontal, when you're trying to show affection, you're wondering, do they like me? That's all going on in your head. And so you can't even be free. Now, I don't want to make this sound easy, right? So I tell people all the time, great sex is actually a conversation between 2 people that are both talking. Hello? We both got to be talking, right? Not with your lazy self.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Talking about
right.
that was good.
Right.
I didn't
What are
know.
you doing?
I
It's
didn't
the
know
real
it was,
thinking.
yeah.
What?
It's communication,
Who
right?
was it? Right. So it was great for one person, but it ain't called great if somebody else was neglected.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, quick question back to the O word, right?
Oh,
Back to the O word.
Did y'all get
sparked
nervous?
me now. No, you
Oh,
sparked
right here?
me. This
Okay.
is like my lane right
I
here.
told you want to hear his topic.
Oh, this is our topic? Okay, I'm ready.
Because what I've realized, I've had clients, oh my God, tell me that they've been married for years and
Never
they've never
had
had an orgasm.
I know what I'm talking about.
And what I came to the conclusion was that in order to have an orgasm, you have to free your mind. You have to clear everything. You can't be thinking about that, this, that. You have to clear your mind and focus into self. and what's going on in that moment.
You're so right.
Right.
If your mind is somewhere else, it's just not going to happen.
It won't happen.
Literally for women, you have to relax.
Yeah, you have to relax.
If there's anything about it that's tense, then
it won't
not
happen.
Gonna get there. You have to literally relax.
Okay. So
how you were introduced to sex is going to come out in most of your sexcapades.
Exactly.
If you haven't dealt with it.
Yes.
So trauma was the way you was introduced to it.
Yeah.
You don't really like when he does that
Right.
because so did the
abuser.
It's deep. You ain't gonna say it out loud because you don't want to be that. I don't want him to think that. No, you need to say this out loud.
And now we're talking about it, but a lot back then they didn't even know that was a thing to not even have an orgasm.
Oh yeah,
women
they
didn't even know.
No, we got clitorises being cut off in the West. Oh,
yeah.
Okay? It's a real thing. How in the West Africa
they were cutting their clitoris?
You just gonna. Oh, so you get all your rocks off, and I'm over here.
The suffering.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't even know that they're not getting it.
Right.
There's I won't say. There's a lady that used to be with Love and Hip Hop. I'll say that out loud. Whatever franchise. And she was talking about it in a great way. Not in terms that she was my patient, but she's talked about it out loud. But I just don't want to say her name. But the point was, she spoke about. We did like a kind of a seminar with women, and she said she used to think that sex was over once the man was done.
Right.
That's how she thought it was done. Not there was a new place for her to achieve. It was just, oh wow, he enjoyed me.
Right. And that's our thing. We typically go there like, oh, because if you're the guy and you don't get there, we're like,
what happened?
Yeah,
what the hell did we do wrong?
Yeah.
Why did it? And we're like trying to let's do this again.
And a lot of men is like, you didn't? I'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Or it's like, what, you were drinking too much that night? And something like that. Yeah. I think
all right, so
I go to the left.
I wanted to ask you this question because I feel like we don't talk about it enough. Hormone imbalances, what causes depression and anxiety, right? Do you explain that to your clients, what exactly it is? Because a lot of times a person can pinpoint what made me depressed or what made me anxious. You know, it's just started to happen naturally, and then you become suicidal because now you can't even pinpoint where it came from. You've been sad so long that like these hormones are supposed to make you happy are gone completely. So now you have to medicate. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing
Whether
wrong
it's
with that.
weed
and
or alcohol,
self-medication.
self-medication. But now we're talking about the other medication, which is prescribed by a psychologist.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing wrong with it. Now, I always like to tell people that it needs to be temporary, right? You don't want to make this to be the only way that you know how to function. But in the midst of having the talk conversations with someone that's professional, you can also take a half a pill of this. That's an antidepressant. You have to now find one that works for your body. Because a lot of times, you know, you guys have heard the phrase where doctors are practicing medicine. So they're practicing on you. So you're their new guinea pig. Not because they don't know what you're doing, they're doing, but because you're their new experiment. And so there's nothing wrong with it. I've worked with a lot of people that are doing better now because they acknowledge, like, I love coming to your office, but I can't see you but once or twice a month. So what do I do in the meantime? So I say, there's nothing wrong. So I will send them to a psychiatrist. They'll diagnose.
Or the psychiatrist is the one who
psychiatrist prescribes.
Okay.
I don't
okay, you go through mostly like the revealing side.
The revealing side of
they go to the medical side.
Yeah, absolutely. And they don't meet with them long. Like I'm getting to their whole history.
Right.
Yeah, they're more about like, tell me about your family. Is there anything that I need to worry about genetics wise? So there's nothing wrong with it. I love that you even know that that's an importance. But that imbalance. So I always like to explain depression and anxiety in this way. So anxiety is the fear of the future, the fear of the unknown. Literally, like in your head, you can catastrophize about something that ain't even happening.
Right. That's what causes like panic attacks and stuff.
All day.
Right.
It's literally not even real what you're anxious about.
Right.
But it's the unknown that took you there. Now, depression is you ruminating, you drowning in the past. Literally. So you ain't even present, right? For two people that are anxious and depressed, you're not in the present. So sometimes just getting into the present, which is what you hear, is part of the medication.
So that's why they say
the
meditation works because you're centered. Because you're not worried about the past and you're not worried about the future. So you're centered. Okay.
Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah, and so many people swim in the past, and I always like to say a phrase called shoulding, which it sounds like I'm cursing, but I'm not. But a lot of people, they are shoulding on themselves. So everything is, I should have went to college. I should have left him a long time ago. I shouldn't have had a baby with. I should have moved away when I had that opportunity in Seattle, right? So they're shoulding. Everything about their life is should. So they're not even present. They're not going to become proud of themselves because they're already working behind. They're behind every day of their life.
Right.
They woke up and they're like, oh my God, y'all ever woke up like that? You're late for a plane or something? Like, that's how they're waking up every day.
Late for work. shoot.
just behind. So you never give yourself any type of grace.
That makes sense. So there's a lot of people that, before we go to the last thing, there's a lot of people that when they go through certain things for long periods of time, it becomes their norm. Right now, it becomes your identity, right? So anything else that's introduced to them outside of that, it feels wrong to them or it feels too much. You know, we see so much people that's dealing with alcoholism or smoking too much or dealing with something. They have these bad
Substance
habits.
abuse.
Right.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as laziness. It becomes your norm
Hoarding.
so much
They hoard.
that now it becomes a cool thing to them, like you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people do things and I'm like, bro, you know that's not the right thing to do. And they were like, yo, you know, let's play it off like it's a cool thing when it's not. They laugh it off. It's a coping mechanism.
After you'll actually call it out.
Yeah. So they'll laugh it out. Like even as simple as not eating healthy and not working out. You know, they'll be like, I'm gonna eat what I want to eat or, you know, do what I want to do because like if in our world, when I used to be a personal trainer, I would tell people, if you're 30 years of age, you be eating 30 years of your life, you be eating bad. You can't expect to change that in 3 months. It's not gonna work. Because 30 years of your life, your body's used to you doing this one thing, this one way 30 years. You think it's going to take 3 months to change what you've been doing wrong for 30 years? Hell no.
Right.
Same thing with your mental health. It's not going to take 2 weeks to change your bad habits that you've been doing for 20, 30 years. It takes time to change all of these habits. So I explained that to them. Same thing with eating. When I changed my diet, I had headaches when I changed my diet. Because my body
had withdrawal.
My body has sugar withdrawal,
Right.
salt withdrawal, meat withdrawal. That's a real thing. Just like when you stop drinking coffee, you get these headaches because your body has these withdrawals. Same thing when you change your habits from bad habits, you have these withdrawals to go back to those bad habits because that was the norm for so long. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times, that's what I tell people is like, this is work. Life is work. If you let it, it'll beat you down. Like we get up every single day trying to move past everything that's holding us back because we're black, we're different, we're built different. We have to go through different things. You know, we have to work twice as hard to get to where another person is in life. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to remain at a certain level. You get what I'm saying? If I want to be rich, if I want to have money, if I want to be wealthy, if I want to be happy, even happiness
Just happy.
takes work for us. Because of the stuff we went through and had to overcome to get to this point, it's a lot more than a white man has to go through, a white woman has to go through. For them, it's normal. They were born into that happiness and comfort and all these things. We have to fight and work hard to get to that level. So every day we get up, we got to make sure our bed is spread. We got to make sure we do this, eat healthy. Like
almost a fear of losing it also.
Exactly.
Once
Like
you get up there.
we don't go to certain schools. We don't go to do certain things. Like if you hang around the white kids, they'll tell you, I've been doing Pilates since I was like 8 years old. A lot of black people don't even know what Pilates is. You know what I'm saying? So they were born into these things. For us, we have to get up every single day and try to find things to make sure we're staying on top of our game because it don't come natural to us.
But then I have to acknowledge, so that would be somebody that's always wanted to grow, which is your personality.
Right.
But a lot of people who are so used to and being comfortable, then they're going to sabotage all day long. That literally is like the fear of success. So I want this, but at the same time, like I'm actually going to like lose it on the way up because it's uncomfortable for me.
And now it becomes trauma bonding because so many of us are experiencing the same thing.
It's a major trauma bond.
Take somebody that is used to a certain area of the hood that they're growing up, put them in the burbs. They are like, it's too quiet out here. They got the TV on loud. Hello. They need 18 kids to y'all just start talking. Because they are literally uncomfortable with silence. Because all of the growing up was like, oh, they learned how to rest to chaos. So you now create chaos in your daggone suburban house because you are so like uncomfortable. So that is something that is also, as you get up there, you got to let some of those habits of what you used to like also go, or you're going to literally recreate it just.
Two people talked about that. Ali Siddiq, in his comedy special, he talked about living in the suburbs, right? And then the white neighbors would come knock on his door to welcome him to the neighborhood. And he was like, he called the cops. He was like, they're trying to get me. Like, this is nothing normal. And then he would wake up in the morning and see the white people jogging outside. It was like, this is crazy.
It's like a real PTSD.
Right. And he said he went, like, there was an old neighbor that he had that just went to the park to just sit and watch
No,
doves.
it's crazy. I'm telling you.
And watch doves. And he was like, he went out there to sit with him. And I was like, I want to see what this craziness is. And he sat there and was like, oh, this is amazing.
It's peaceful.
Just watching doves.
He had to let it go. Right. He had to let go.
He had to accept it that this is something good that's happening.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? They're not used to seeing that. Existing in another environment feels like I'm out of my norm.
Right.
And you try to push back at it so much because you're not so used to it. And that.
And you can do both without losing yourself, right? That's the whole point. You don't have to become the burbs. You just learn how to enjoy it. And then you still go see your folks wherever they live.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to adjust.
Yeah, so the thing is, I like the fact that now a lot of things are being spoken about in our generation.
Yeah, we getting better at it.
We're getting a lot better at a lot of things. So I'll give credit to that. But I feel like there's certain things that's being twisted in a way to make it wrong in a certain aspect, like the social media.
We're comparing ourselves. We're in the comparison era right now.
Anxiety was there, but a lot of people knew like they dealt with it.
Right.
But now because it's so talked about, you realize what it is, but still you won't deal with it.
I think social media has really made anxiety way worse for us.
And depression.
And depression because it's a comparison thing, and comparison is a killer of all joy. So if you're looking at social media all the time,
I've heard that before.
Yeah, if you're looking at social media all the time and you're seeing this person on, on a beach and whatever, and this person's successful in their career, and this person has the family that you always wanted, by the time you get off of that, your brain is all over there in what you just seen. And you're not even focused on self and being present in your moment in your day-to-day life.
Right. I think one other thing, I forgot the next person I remember. Les Brown, right?
Les Brown.
Oh.
He
Are
said,
you about to say something good about him or bad about him?
Oh, Les Brown is my guy. He put me onto motivation. So Les Brown, he said,
you pull it together.
You would take a person from the ghetto or wherever they used to, the buildings smell like piss and painted up and everything. You could fix that building up 10 times. He's gonna go back to that. You know what I'm saying? Like you could paint it, clean it up, everything, but because give them 2 months, he's gonna go right back to that.
Yeah, because that's what they're used to around it.
That environment is what they're used to.
Sorry, I'm not a fan, but
I'm a fan.
I'm
curious. If you know
of
what
Les.
I knew, you wouldn't be. But I'm listening.
I don't know the inside. I just know what I know.
We'll talk about it off air.
Off air, we can talk about it. But that's who I started listening to.
He does have wonderful things that he says.
Yes.
If he only lived it, imagine that.
I don't know that.
Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. So remember, the
Definitely.
hypocrisy for me is a turnoff. Don't talk about what you ain't doing. Just talk about what you're healed in.
Right.
But don't do that.
I get
Now
that.
I don't respect you.
I get that.
But
I don't know the inside scoop. Yeah, but that put me.
It's a wonderful example.
Right.
I'm not, but it sounds great. But I would tell whoever it is to their face how learn to live what you're writing.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that you become it. Like you're like so proud.
I believe in that.
Yeah. So
One last thing before we go, the last topic. I don't know if you want to touch on something else before
No,
that.
go ahead.
So last year on the 15th of December last year, I was getting ready at my house to come record my podcast, right? It was the second episode, right?
I think it was like our second or third episode.
It was second episode.
Yeah.
I think we're getting ready to record and getting ready. So I called my friend around 4 and I was like, yo, I wanted to do something at the restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yo, man, do your thing. Like, he made me feel like, so how he makes me feel is like it's my place. I can do whatever I want.
Oh, yeah, that's a good feeling.
Right. So I called him because he wasn't here. He was in Colorado. I called him. I was like, yo, I want to do something at the restaurant. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yo, I called him for go do your thing. Like, you can do whatever you want, basically. 5, 6 o'clock now, I'm about to get ready to go to record the podcast. And somebody would say, yo, what happened to your friend? I was like, what friend you talking about? It was like, Kevin. I was like, bro, I just talked to Kevin like on 4 o'clock. What you talking about? I was like, yo, I heard he died. I was like, man, stop playing games. Like, I just talked to the brother. He was good. Like, I don't believe in that. So now I called.
It's the same guy in Colorado that you just talked to.
I called him first. Phone rang out. So I was like, something don't seem right. Why is everybody texting me like, I just talked to him, so it must be another Kevin.
Right.
So I called my guy now. I called Famous. I was like, yo. Once I called him, I said, yo, I heard him sigh. And the phone was silent for like good 2 minutes. It wasn't a group call and nobody was saying nothing.
So we knew it was.
I didn't ask because I knew it was something. And then I said, yo, what happened? After like 2 minutes being silent on the phone, I was sitting there looking out of space. I was like, what happened? I was like, yo, I'm gone. That was it. And then the conversation started and they told me what happened. I was like, yo, I literally just talked to him
Same day.
a couple hours ago.
Couple hours, right.
You know, and I had to go record the podcast.
Was it a tragic something that happened to him?
He had a blood clot that went to his heart.
Oh, we know that he didn't even know.
Right.
Yeah. No, but he was feeling pain in his leg.
He had surgery.
He had a surgery in his leg.
And then it went spiral down.
Right. So basically, that issue
Wow.
was there, hurting his leg, and just that's where it came from. And he went home because he was out at work all day. He went home and everything, and his mom found him unresponsive and everything. And we're talking about it, and I was like, I gotta go record this podcast after. I'm like, dang.
Oh wait, this was all before you recorded.
This was
I just-
an
the
hour
same
before
day.
we recorded.
Oh man.
And this was a year ago, like this week.
Oh.
And we had a therapist on that same episode.
Deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So we got on, and I was like, that this topic was, we talked about grief.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right. I personally, I don't know if it's me learning how to deal with it or it's a response to it.
Okay.
But I'm hurt at first, and then I come to a place of acceptance. Like, we're gonna go. We're all gonna go one day, and we're hurt about it, but thinking that they're in a better place in a way, and thinking that we have to accept the fact that this is gonna happen to all of us. It makes me feel a little bit better to know that it's inevitable, basically. So I want to know what you think about people dealing with grief in that
So
aspect.
number one, I appreciate you bringing up this topic because a lot of people are scared to talk about it, but we don't know how to grieve, and we aren't taught how to grieve.
Right.
We're just not taught how to grieve. So let me give you a little. So number one, grief is beyond death, right? So sometimes there's a loss of a relationship. There's a loss of a limb. There's a new
Right.
diagnosis. There's a loss of independence, right? With our elders that get older. There's a lot of different ways of loss, and it's not just grief. Divorce, I could go on and on and on. And of course, it's not just people. It could be pets, right? A lot of times it'd be like, it's a dog, it's just a dog. No, that dog
You're
literally
connected
was
to
your
it, right.
entire
Yes.
life that was happy to see you because wasn't nothing else happy to see you when you came in
Right.
the door, right? So I just want to open that up. It's in addition to death, there are other ways that we have to acknowledge when we're grieving.
That makes sense because I felt the same feeling when a friend we parted
Right?
ways. Yeah.
And even in saying it, grieving, ing, means before they even die, you can actually grieve something that's about to be done.
Okay.
Right? So even when sometimes we find it's someone that we know, like we're caregivers to work with people that are in different sicknesses, we know they're going to go soon, but we don't know, but we're grieving them. Alzheimer's, dementia, right? Their mindset is not as,
crazy.
right? So
We just had a girl on that was dealing with that.
oh yeah,
Her
she's
husband passed
grieving.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like grieving before they're gone.
Yeah,
'cause
he had cancer. Yeah.
So I had to say that. Now, there are lots of steps to grief. About, I like to say 5.5. So this, or we could just call it 6. But the first part of grief is what we all just experience is how we found out. So the craziest thing is December 15th last year. Do you remember what day it was?
It was Tuesday.
And do you remember what time of the day it was?
Yeah, exactly.
And do you remember all the things that you have done in the last year regarding December 15th of how you thought of this day? Like, it's crazy. Your life stopped. Like, you remember Monday, and you literally play out 24 hours before and 24 hours after.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We all do this when it comes to death. And so to play it out for the next year is actually, there's nothing wrong with that. You're like having a remembrance, right, and honor. Some people do this every other day, and they replay it, and they're stuck. Right? And so they stay in a place of denial. So the first step is to acknowledge how you found out. So the scene that haunts you, the social media post that you read that said RIP cousin, and you're like,
what?
how did,
Yeah.
what? We've all had that moment like, what? Our friend from high school, and this how you
Right.
find out?
Like
That's
what
the
happened to
worst.
Kobe Bryant's wife. That's how she found out on
Oh, I didn't
Instagram.
even know that. That's
Yeah,
dramatic.
that's why she sued the
Oh,
police
that's how
academy.
she found out about her husband?
Yeah, she found out on TMZ. Yeah.
Well, on TMZ.
And
I
then
think I didn't hear that.
and then the cops had posted the picture, like a video of the helicopter and everything. So that's how
Right,
she saw
so
everything.
it already was traumatizing, but that is called the scene that haunts her. She literally plays back, being either on her phone or whatever the
Right.
computer was. So that's a big deal. That can actually be even for those who walked in on something, right? So like we were talking about the person that you said hung themselves. So even the person that actually found them, they will forever remember that. So that's its own thing. If anybody's ever dealt with anybody that has homicide and you were actually the one that saw them drop dead.
Yeah.
So you are replaying this entire daggone scene. Do y'all hear me? Every time December 15th comes. And so as much as you are honoring, you're also becoming debilitated. And sometimes you're saying to yourself, I wish I would have. And now you are looking at self. So we're going to get there in a second. So the scene that haunts you is deep, how you found out. Denial. So there's a point where you're just like, nah, right? So, right? You had to go to the group chat. You're like, nah, I just talked to this dude. Or grandma said she was getting better, right? Because cancer, you get better. And then it's like,
decline.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that was my, like she was actually getting better. And so you're thrown off because you're like, I was just in the hospital. They said this. And so you're replaying even like, is something wrong with you that you don't even believe it. Some people go past the house just to see if somebody's going to walk out. This really happens in your mind. You're like, am I going through it? No. You are literally conditioned to go past exit 73, right? To see whatever you want to see in hopes to see somebody come out your house. Now, does that mean something's wrong with you? No. But if you're doing this for 5 or 10 years, you are still in denial. That's not healthy, right? So that first year, every day feels like yesterday. The first year. I always tell people, give you that. So the first 3 years, 3 to 5 years, you're now acknowledging time from the place that you missed them and that you like, wow, this really happened.
Yeah, that's like my other friend that passed away. I had his chat open for like a year.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
I literally have, my father died. He was one of the COVID deaths, really super dramatic. He got it 2 weeks later. He was out of here, right? And so it took me about 6 months. That was my dude, like my dad. So I like wanted to call him. Right? Because I'm so used to calling my dad.
All the time,
I moved away from Michigan. That's where I grew up. Long time ago, 1998. So I've always lived away from them. But I've called, that's my guy. Dad, I don't know what I want to talk to him about. But whatever it is was the most natural thing to do was to call my dad.
Yeah.
When he didn't answer, I was like, oh my God, girl.
Yeah.
Because I had to, was I in denial? Psychologically, did I know that my dad was gone though? In my heart, I did, but my head hadn't caught up to like, girl, do not do that.
Yeah.
So denial is okay for the first year. Y'all catching this? So don't judge yourself and it's like, I can't believe I'm still dealing with it. Deal with the fact that you are actually in denial. So don't say, I don't believe it. Say, call it, give it words, okay? Then we got anger. So these don't always have to be like in chronological order. These are literally 6 different stages that grief comes up and you're just gonna identify where are you. Anger. So not only are you angry at the person that's gone, depending on how they left, right? Because you are mad as hell. Did they really leave without apologizing? Could you imagine that? That's a real thing. Damn. Was I really supposed to? I remember all the homies in Los Angeles and they would literally say, I would talk to them in the prison for the idea of they're angry that they weren't there because if they were there, they would have popped everybody.
Right.
But oh man, I can't believe I was on the wrong block. So you mad at who? You mad at you?
Or you're mad at
So you mad at them being gone and you mad at you being on the wrong block because then you would have been, and then you're going to be mad at God because really, why would you take mine? Right? So we're not going to be mad at God. We mad at you, at ourselves, and we mad at the person gone. So we stay in anger for that's another year or two for those that don't deal with it. And so remember, anger ain't a matter of like popping off, snapping at the at your tongue is just snappy. It could also be hella quiet, right? A lot of men are quietly angry. Gotta watch them ones. That's the ones with enraged.
Dangerous.
They are literally enraged. Now, they may not ever show it, but internally, they're not always that hungry. They rather have a Jack Daniels, right? Instead of full-on meal. Talking about, nah, I'm just not hungry. No, bruh, you're grieving, right? But who says that out loud?
Right.
But so that's a level of anger. You are literally mad at God. You ain't been to church since what, 2007? So you went to the funeral and then you were good on God. So we just mad? We gonna stay mad? So I'm not making fun of that person. I'm just saying, let's acknowledge it. Y'all catching this? Okay, depression. Now, yes, the word depression, like I talked about, you're ruminating in the past. But the truth is you are so sad that you are not doing anything in this matter of, I should have. So you got all these shoulds of, because you apparently are so powerful that you keep people from dying. Just let you know you ain't that powerful. And none of you is that powerful. I'm not that powerful. You get what I'm saying? None of you is that powerful. If I was there, they wouldn't have died. Really? Because you a whole Jesus Christ and Buddha?
Right.
Like y'all just, all the ancestors came together within you? No. So you have to even let that go. Like if I was there more. And so you got to let go of the idea of, oh man, I worked so much and grandma died before I got there. Right? Or the sadness of, I don't understand like why we can't have a child and we keep having these miscarriages. See, that's what we don't, it's the adults that we want to talk about grief. What about the idea of you're grieving every time you're trying to have a kid with your husband or your husband with your wife, and y'all can't even enjoy sex because there is literally loss there. Hello. Ain't no orgasms happening at all.
Right.
So now we got to talk about the grief of even what comes on in our bedroom. That's deep, right?
Yeah.
That's depression. Bargaining. Now this one's a little interesting, and I say this out loud. I'm waiting for the day somebody calls me like, I can't believe you said that. I'm saying it out loud, okay? So bargaining means that if someone passes away, there are times where you're thinking, I really wish somebody else died.
Oh.
But we don't say that out loud.
Oh.
So I'm really close to my mom, right? And my dad could kick rocks.
Ooh.
But my mom's the one that went?
But what about the people that say
mad.
they murderers and they killers, but why they gotta take?
No, it's
this
true.
person?
It's
Yeah,
true. It's all of that.
right.
And the truth is, I always think, and this is just the prophetic side of me, is God gives a lot of people the time to get it right. It's the ones that literally, I always say this is what I always say out loud. I had 2 grandmas. One was sweet and one was a two-faced, or is a two-faced woman that talks about people. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. Gossips. I ain't never like women that gossip. I don't care that you're related to me. I don't want to be around you.
Right.
Okay? So you could judge me all day. I can't believe she said that about her grandma. I did.
Yeah.
I'll say it out loud. Y'all can be around this toxicity if you want to. I don't actually surround I give you your groceries and I leave. But I ain't about to hear you talk about the same person that you just had lunch with.
Right.
So guess who went first? The
The
sweet
good one.
grandma. But this lady about 95, we always talk about she gonna outlive us. She gonna be 197. And she's still gonna cuss all y'all out, talk about all your aunties. Right? Because she's 200 years old.
Right.
But that's the one that's gone. So the bargaining is, why did you have to take that one, God? And that really happens. I'm making fun of it because I don't mind using myself all day.
Right.
But that's the truth of like, why did they have to go and not this one?
one.
That's your stuff. Now you got to get rid of your bargaining stuff. That's that grief. That's your stage there.
Right.
And then lastly is acceptance. So say you had a lover that was like, oh my God, I love her so much and now she's gone. But then I'm gonna have a new girlfriend, right? I just made myself a lesbian. Y'all okay with that? Okay. I like to make things all inclusive.
Right.
Because you don't know who's watching it. We always talk about hetero life, hetero this.
Right.
And it's like, really?
Right.
So this is my boo, and now she's gone, and I'm gonna get me a new boo, right? Because she is everything. But I'm gonna tell her about the one I love. So my acceptance is that I can have a love of my life. You just take down all your breasts. You take down your breasts. It's cool. So my new boo, right? My new boo, like now she understands that every whatever day it was, we're gonna honor your last girlfriend, and we can love each other. That's true acceptance, where you can do both at the same time.
Because some people are not gonna do that.
Right. Because you quietly talking about, I can't really talk about this because I don't want to let anybody down. We literally stay quiet talking about we don't want to be a burden. But all of us lost our mama. We can't never talk about it.
Right.
We don't ever talk about, we can't all have dinner, have our favorite meal.
But in a relationship case,
that relationship
case where
jealousy happens.
Yeah.
Yes. Or like we were talking to one of our guests that lost her husband, and I looked at it like, wonder how would the new guy feel if she's still grieving in a way and still talking about him in a positive light and wants to celebrate his life in any way? Or how does the new guy participate in that?
Well, what he can do is accept the fact that how he came into it.
Right.
Because if the fool didn't die, you wouldn't have her.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I did already call him a fool, whoever you are. I'm sure he was great. Right. But this brother, if he didn't die, you wouldn't have her. So you're really honored at the fact that your woman still loves after death.
Right.
So you should be happy that she probably may love your butt.
Right.
So if you got jealousy going on, again, you got to deal with your stuff. That ain't your stuff. I ain't about to all day talk. It's okay that I'm just no.
It's like a baggage. It's like when you're going to take on someone with kids. You taking on someone that's grieving a husband or a wife or whatever. You know that they're going to have those moments of saying, oh, I remember this or that person. It comes with the package. So
it comes with the package. Yeah. And if you don't accept it, kick rocks.
Right.
I tell people kick rocks.
I was out with someone before and his wife passed away and a song came on that she loved and like she would dedicate. And he just went into this shell and I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? And he didn't want to say it, but then he's like, I'm just going to tell you. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, don't ever feel like you're not.
You
like,
can
you
almost
can't
relate
talk
more
to me
to
about
him.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's probably had experiences when women were like, oh, they got tense or something when he's talked about her.
She's still dealing with the death.
Right. I was like, listen, I know grieve one-on-one head on. So be fine.
I met guys when dating. It was so nice when they would like be upset at themselves for cheating. I remember this.
Yeah.
on their exes.
Yeah.
Like I would love that, and they would
Yeah.
say, "Man, like it wasn't worth it." Man, talk to me all day.
Right,
like that.
right,
You're talking
right.
my language.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you actually
Accountability.
learned something
From it, yeah.
So
Accountability,
you get what I mean? It's just like let people live their whole life and see what has come from it. It's the lessons, which that's why y'all do students.
I feel like
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Got it right there.
We're
Exactly.
learning and unlearning. Has
Man,
no
we got
limit.
gems.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
We're learning and unlearning has no limits.
Come on.
Thank
Y'all on to something.
Hey,
here.
we got so many gems today. It is crazy how many
Yes.
we got
yes.
today.
We got a lot
I'm telling
today.
you, this episode was up there with
appreciate
one of
that.
the
I forgot I was a
ones.
podcaster for a little bit. I was
Yeah, we're just
like,
talking. To be honest with you, because we had a whole 45-minute conversation before we started.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We just talked. We just had conversation.
final
We normally
thoughts.
do a final thought.
Oh,
Whatever comes to mind, just drop a gem for us. Give them some
I'm
advice.
never good at those.
Final thoughts.
Just tell us whatever comes to mind. You know?
Whatever comes to mind.
Yeah. Whatever situation you want to help somebody with today.
So, find out what it is. Where should I look? Should I look here?
Right
That's the
here.
camera right here.
Right here? This one right
Yes,
here?
Uh-huh.
yes.
Okay, so really start dealing with your naked truth, right? You literally or figuratively. I'm not talking about you as a naked being in front of the mirror, but like literally like when no one is watching, like, do you like her? Do you like him? And the things that you don't, try to figure out what it is, why it is, and then ask somebody to help you fix it. Like it's a blessing once you get past that pride. It's just not a good look. Like it's just not.
Shan?
I like that. What's my final thoughts? What happened to me today? How was my day?
You want me to go before you so you can think about it?
I'm trying to figure out. Typically, it's like within the last week. What I learned within the last week. Get used to sudden changes.
I like that.
Get used to sudden changes, and it goes to grief and death and whatever.
Oh yeah.
Loss of a job, loss of something, just not being whatever it was. Get used to that, and you can get past it quicker.
I like that.
Oh, nice. I like
you.
that.
I think mine would be understanding how to give grace and realizing that it's not one size fits all for everybody. Not one method, not one solution works for everybody. Everybody copes in different ways. Everybody deal with things in different ways. So give people grace, you know, understanding that no matter how bad a person seems, because a person could be the worst person in the world, but that's coming from somewhere, you know, and understanding like we talked about today. I learned that from us talking today that the worst of the worst person always has some deeply rooted trauma that comes from somewhere else. We're not looking at that person that caused that trauma. We're just looking at the bad things that this person is doing. So sometimes when a person snaps at you, pick a fight with you, hurt you, cheat on you, all these things, it's coming from somewhere else that they haven't dealt with. So sometimes give them that grace. You know, not look at them like they're demonic in any way, just understanding that something caused them to be that person.
I like that.
Therefore.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tasha. You was the therapy I didn't even know I needed. Okay. Shout out to Anthea for introducing me to you. She was on the podcast at one point.
Yeah, shout out to Anthea.
Guys, please let us know if you love this episode. Please join into the conversation by leaving your comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this out. We are the Student to Life podcast, and we'll see you when we see you. Love you.
Next time.
Bye.